Hilchos Talmud Torah, Perek Sheni. Second chapter of the laws of Torah study. Today we're going to talk about teachers in the classroom. Halacha Aleph, Moshivin. Melamed tinokot b'chol medina u'medina u'v'chol pelech v'felech. There's an obligation to have a teacher in every single province and in every single neighborhood. V'chol ir she'en ba tinokot shel bet rabban. Any city that has children in it but doesn't have a school set up for them, students where they learn at the house of their teacher, machrimin et anshe ha'ir. We put the whole city into cherem. We ostracize them. Ad shemoshivin melamed tinokot, until they make a teacher. Rabbi Weiss, the other day was Hebrew school graduation, and he mentioned this to the parents. He said, Sherman Oaks shouldn't exist if there's no Hebrew school. If there's no place for children to learn, and then the whole city needs to be ostracized. V'im lo hoshivu, if they didn't make a school, machrivin et ha'ir. Destroy the city. She'ein ha'olam mitkayem ela behevel pihem shel tinokot shel beit rabban. Because the world only exists with the breath of the mouth of students at the home of their teacher. Only because there's kids learning Torah, that's why there is a world. I mentioned yesterday that this is started by Yehoshua ben Gamla. He was a man who saw that it used to be that every father taught his son. But if the person didn't have a father, he passed away, or the father wasn't capable, kids didn't learn. So he said, we're going to make one big school in Yerushalayim. Everybody would bring their kids to Yerushalayim. But it was still a problem, because only if you had a father, he'd bring you to Yerushalayim. If you didn't have a father, he didn't take you. So he made this takana that we should have melamed tinokot in every single neighborhood. And once it became accepted, it was like taken to the highest level. If you don't have it, we put you in cherem. If not, we destroy the city. Machnisin. We bring in at tinokot li'itlamed, we bring in children to learn, keben shesh, keben sheva, around 6 or 7 years old, like we saw yesterday, lefi koach haben ubinyan gufo, according to the strength of the child and the build of his body. If he was healthier, you bring him in at 6. Less healthy, bring him in at 7. Upachot mi ben shesh, en machnisin oto, but not less than 6. The Rebbe writes it's like bar mitzvah. Bar mitzvah, we don't have a reason why at 13 a kid becomes bar mitzvah. You don't become more mature at 13. You don't become smarter at 13. Halacha Moshe Misinai is at 13 you become bar mitzvah. So the same thing, Hashem knows at 6 years old you're ready to learn. No matter how healthy you are, we can't bring you in less than 6.
13 pretty much, it's like puberty time.
It is, but for some children it's earlier, for some it's later. Especially in today's society, nothing specific happens at 13 that I'm aware of that makes a person from a boy into a man. Maybe in the olden days he went to the farm at 13 or something, but today it's a halacha Moshe Misinai. So over here also, 6 years old, that's what Hashem says, chinuch begins at 6. If need be, the teacher can hit the children, to make them a little bit afraid. However, there's rules about this hitting. It's not a free pass. He can't hit them like the hit of an enemy, out of cruel rebuke. Therefore, he should not hit them with rods or with sticks, only with a small strap. The Talmud actually says shoelace. So we're talking about something very little. It's not a license to take a ruler and start bashing kids over the head, like some of our fathers went through. But the idea is that a teacher should hold that fear over his students. The Rebbe used to always say, it's enough that it should be hanging on the wall. You don't have to actually use it. It's just there for permission. The teacher's obligation is to sit and teach the children all day. And a little bit of the night. To teach them, to educate them in this powerful concept of learning by day and by night. There's no vacation from school. Children don't get a day off. Except for Erev Shabbat, Erev Yom Tov at the end of the day. So this week, Wednesday, for example, Thursday, they get off towards the end of the day. It's Erev Yom Tov. Ubiyamim Tovim, and on the holidays themselves, there's also off from school. Aval b'Shabbat, Shabbat's not a day off. Shabbat, they're back in school. En korim lechatchila. You don't learn new things. You don't read new information. Aval shonin larishon, or barishon, but you review that which you already learned. That's how important children learning is. Even when they're building the temple, you don't stop the kids from learning. They stay in class. So since learning is so important, a teacher has to take his job really seriously. And therefore, halacha gimel, melamed tinokot, shehu maniach et hatinokot v'yotzeh. If a teacher just leaves the kids one day and he leaves, I have to go home, take care of my kids. He just goes out of class. O shehu oseh malacha acheret imahem. Or he does other work with them. Instead of training them to do learning, he makes them build Lego or something. or he's lazy about how he teaches. Harehu bichlal, he is included in the verse that says, Arur oseh melechet Hashem rimiyah. Cursed is the one who does or who makes the work of God into a trickery. That means he's basically misusing his job. He's abusing his job. You're hired to teach, and you're teaching them other things. Lefichach, therefore, ein ra'oi lehoshiv melamed. It's not fitting to make a teacher, to appoint a teacher, ela bal yirah, he himself should have fear of heaven, mahir likrot uledakdek, expert to read and in grammar. Somewhat of a discussion in the commentaries what this means, but either it means a teacher himself is fluent in all of what he's teaching, and he's fluent in the grammar, because in the Torah we don't have vowels. So if you misread the word, you can make a whole new interpretation. The Talmud says that one of the arguments between David and Yoav, David HaMelech and Yoav, his general, was when he sent him to kill Amalek, he came back and said, I killed everybody, all the adult males. So David said, it says in the Torah, Timched Zecher Amalek. You have to destroy any remembrance of Amalek. So Yoav said, oh, I didn't know it's Zecher, I thought it's Zachar. Zayin Chaf Resh can be read Zecher and can be read Zachar. So from a simple grammar mistake, a huge implication comes out. So the teacher has to be expert and fluent and in grammar, or it means, mahir means expert in passing it on. He has to do both. He has to teach children both to be fluent in reading and in the grammar. Watch that they don't make mistakes. Halacha Dalet. Umisha ein lo isha, a person who doesn't have a wife, a single guy. Lo yilamed tinokot, should not teach young boys, mipnei imotehen shehen ba'in etzel b'neihen, because of the mothers who come to pick up their sons, and there's room for immorality. V'chein ha'isha, also a woman, lo telamed tinokot, shouldn't be a teacher in a boys' school, because of the fathers. Shehen ba'in etzel banim, they come to the children, and there's room for immorality over there. Today they say for kindergarten, like under 6, they have women teachers teach boys. Maybe older they don't do it. Some schools do it because today the schools are structured differently. Parents don't come into the classroom; they only meet the male teachers. But the point of the spirit of the halacha is that you don't create mixtures between the genders. Halacha hey, how big should a class be? It's acceptable for 25 children to learn by one teacher. If they're more than 25 till 40, you have to have a TA, teacher's assistant. You bring another guy in to help them with the learning. Once you hit 40, you got to split the class in two. Now 20 and 20. 25 is the max for one teacher to handle. You're allowed to take a child and switch schools or switch classrooms from one teacher to another, shehu mahir mimenu, if he's more expert than him, ben b'mikra, ben b'dikduk, whether in the fluency of reading or the grammar. And again, it means either he's fluent himself or he's fluent in teaching children these skills. When do we allow for this movement of classes? If both classes were in one city, and there was no river between them, you didn't have to cross a river to get to the other class. But if moving classes means you're moving cities, or from one side of the river to the other, or even in the same city, we don't take that risk of having the kid travel so far just for a little better teacher. You don't bring the child over, unless there was a healthy bridge over the river, a building, a construction which will not fall quickly. Because apparently in those days, bridges weren't so strong. So you do that, you run the chance of a kid injuring himself, or even worse. And for that, we're not going to just move a child's classes. Halacha zayin, echad mibnei mavoi, somebody in a mavoi. Those ways houses used to be constructed was there was an alleyway. You would go into an alley, and then the alley would split off into 2 chatzerot, 2 courtyards. Each courtyard would have multiple houses, but they all shared a shared yard. And the totality of these houses was called a mavoi. All the houses with their chatzerot, with their alley, was called mavoi. So you have one big mavoi. It's kind of like one big complex, let's call it. Kind of a gated community, but like a small community. And one of the people should be kesh leheasot melamed. He wanted to become a teacher. Afilu echad mibnei hachatzer. Even one of the people in the chatzer. So he's more private. He's just in this shared courtyard, not in the whole alleyway. He wants to become a teacher. En yecholin shchenav lemachot biyado. His neighbors can't protest. Why would they protest? Because kids learn all day and night. So it's noisy. Guy can't sleep. No, you're not allowed to protest if somebody wants to become a teacher and open up a business. V'chein melamed tinokot sheba chavero. If you have a teacher and his friend comes, upatach bayit lamed tinokot bitzido, and next door he opens up a classroom. Straight up competition. Kedei sheyavo tinokot acherim lo, either to attract other children to him, or kedei sheyavo mitinokot shel zeh etzel zeh, or he purposely wants to attract some of your kids. Eno yachol limchot biyado. The other teacher can't protest. In the Talmud, we bring on this the famous saying, Kinat sofrim tarbeh chokhmah. Jealousy will make you wiser. You see a guy next to you looking to attract other kids, you're going to amp up your level of teaching. The Rambam doesn't bring that, because the Rambam's not talking about the competition element. He's talking about Torah. We're in the laws of studying Torah. Therefore, he brings a verse relevant to Torah. Shene'emar, Hashem chafetz leman sidko. Hashem wants to make more righteousness in the world. Yagdil Torah v'yadir. Therefore, you have an obligation that Torah should become greater and more glorified. So if somebody wants to become a teacher, there's more Torah in the world. Your neighbor wants to become your competition teacher, there's going to be more Torah in the world. You got to let that happen, because that's what Hashem wants. There should be more and more Torah.